And now from Britain's heritage railways, we move on to China. Mr. Jit Sondhi shall be telling us about China's railway progress in the decade 2014 to 2023 and the way forward. The moderator for this session is Mr. Ranjit S. Virdi, a career railwayman who has worked as a mechanical engineer with the Indian Railways. After 2 decades on the Western Railway zone working in the operational divisions and repair workshops, he joined the Container Corporation of India Limited for 4 years. Thereafter, following various assignments, including one as Divisional Railway Manager of the Mumbai Division, he was posted as General Manager of the North East Frontier Railway, from where he retired from rail service. That did not mean that he retired from life and continued as a freelance consultant as diverse as the National Highway Authority of India. Over to you, Mr. Virdi, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Manoj. As your moderator for the next session, let me welcome all the participants to this next session of the International Conference of the Railway Enthusiast Society on Rail 200, celebrating the 200 years of railways worldwide. For the next session, we have Mr. Jit Sondhi, who will be talking to us about China Railways, the progress in the last decade from 2014 to 2023, and the way forward. As your moderator, it's my privilege to introduce Mr. Jit Sondhi and also to keep track of the time and a tab on the questions that may arise during his presentation, which I will put to Mr. Sondhi after he completes his talk. To introduce Mr. Jit Sondhi, he is a railwayman with over 5 decades of experience in railways and consultancy, including with the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, USAID, GTZ, and other bodies. He has worked with various railway systems world over, including India, China, other Asian countries, Africa, and Europe. He has acquired valuable experience in areas such as strategic issues, policy, and in the railway sector, including private sector participation and concessioning of railways. His first-hand experience of planning, evaluation, and implementation of high-speed railway projects in China over the last 10 years is what he will be talking to us about today. In India, he was closely associated with the planning and implementation of projects related to modernization and expansion of railway suburban services in Mumbai and the dedicated freight corridor project. He has co-authored several papers covering modernization and expansion of railways in China and adoption of modern railway systems and technologies and their implementation of the high-speed railway projects. Over to you, Mr. Jit Sondhi. Can you please share your presentation?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about China Railways. As mentioned earlier, I have worked in China over 15 years, and I think cumulatively I spent 2 years in China, and I had the good fortune of development and implementation and construction of 4 high-speed railways in China. So that made things quite interesting for me. Next.
सुंदी सर नीचे स्क्रॉल करिए. हाँ, स्क्रॉल डाउन. ये अंदर. हाँ, बस करेक्ट.
Okay. So today I'll be talking about management reforms of China Railways, which the objective was to enhance operational efficiency and its expansion. growth in railway network and services over the last 10 years, benefits of long-term planning, and what are the success factors for rapid growth of railways in China, and what are they planning to do in the next few years. Here is a map of China. I would like to explain that China is extremely busy, both industrially and otherwise, in the eastern side of the country. And over the last 25 years or so, the country has been trying to industrialize the central part of the country also. The western side of the country is mountainous, and so is the southern side here. And of course, in the north, you have desert, and you have Tibet Plateau in the southwestern side. The country has two very large rivers, Yellow River and Yangtze River. Yellow is in the north, and Yangtze is in the south. Next, please. A little bit of comparison between China and India. The land area of China is roughly 3 times that of India. Distance from north to south, China is 5,500 kilometers, India is 3,200 kilometers. East to west is 5,200 for China and over 3,000 kilometers for India. Population is the same, 1.3 billion. So we were talking about the geography of China and the comparison with India. So the first item I'd like to discuss is the management reforms which were carried out in 2013. There were in all 44 sub-administrations. Sub-administration is like divisions in Indian Railways, and railway administrations are like zonal railways. So there were 18 zonal railways and 44 divisions. And each zone managed between 5,000 to 10,000 route kilometers of railways. All operations managed from railway headquarters, and all stations depots controlled directly by RS, thus removing one layer of management. Basically, all the divisions or sub-administration, 44 of them, were abolished. And the control or the operation of railways was centralized in the zonal railway headquarters. This is a very interesting development because with the development of communication and information technology, it is very easy and it is possible to manage large portions of railways from one unit. In India, we seem to be going the other way around. We keep on increasing the number of divisions. And the result is that the coordination between adjoining divisions becomes very difficult because they are controlling 500 or 1,000 kilometers of railway track. Above reform generated a saving of 60,000 employees. And the divisional headquarters was controlling all depots, all stations directly from the zonal railway headquarters. The other reform which was carried out was that sector policy, regulation, and commercial operations and construction were separated. The policy, regulation, and safety was assigned to Ministry of Transport. Ministry of Railways was more or less abolished, and Ministry of Transport was responsible for technical standards, safety standards, as well as policy of all transport entities. A new company was formed called China Railway Corporation, which was owned by Ministry of Finance and was responsible for railway commercial operations and most of the current staff of China Railways moved to CRC, that is China Railway Corporation. The railway construction company was established under Ministry of Transport. So this is a reform which has been discussed in India for a long time. That why do we have a Ministry of Transport and Ministry of Railways two separate? Because the transport requires a lot of coordination between various modes of transport. So the Chinese in 2013 decided that all transport sectors should be coordinated by Ministry of Transport, and a separate entity should be formed for the operation of railways. And that company will be owned by Ministry of Finance. Now let us talk the progress in the decade 14 to 23. China Railways continue to be very important for the economic development of China. They have made remarkable strides in technology, infrastructure development, service offerings. And they have been very good in planning as well as implementing various projects for the expansion of the railways. The freight services have also been expanded. We will talk about how far they have succeeded. And the electrification of the network was also continued. But I will show that it was not done in indiscriminate manner, but it was done on the basis of the traffic density in various railway sections. The other things which have been carried out is digitization or smart ticketing of and automatic maintenance systems, rapid expansion of overland rail services between China and Europe. This is an exceptional story, which I will be describing later on. Railway stations have been upgraded because the number of users at the stations has increased manifold. It is sometimes between 5 to 10 times of the old footfall in the railway stations. And integration with other transport modes, that means airport and subway systems, have also been given emphasis, and that has made things easy for the users of the transport system. Let's look at the growth of network and services. This is a map of railways, which, as you can see, the eastern side of the railway network is very dense because this is where 70% of the population, Chinese population, live. And as you go to the west, the network density is lower, but new lines have been constructed because the emphasis, the objective is to try and develop the less developed area of the country also. This is a 2023 map, which shows the high-speed network. And I would like you to see that the red lines are 300 kilometer to 350 kilometer per hour speed. And again, you will notice that these lines are concentrated more on the eastern side. These are the east-west lines, and there are vertical lines from north to south. And this is a line from Beijing to Shanghai, which is the most popular or most densely utilized line of China. The yellow lines are the ones which have a high speed, with a speed of 200 to 250 kilometers per hour. These are the yellow lines, as you can see them. And the blue lines are the ones which have been upgraded, but they are not high-speed lines. And then the gray lines, these ones are conventional railways, which have not yet been upgraded in any way. So this should give you a good idea of the railway network in China. Originally, there was a medium and long-term railway plan, MLTRP, which set a target of constructing 12,000 kilometers of high-speed railway by year 2020. This was set up, I think, in 2004. In 2016, MLTRP was revised to 8 horizontal and 8 vertical corridors of high-speed railway length, 30,000 kilometers by 2020 and 38,000 by 2025. 2020 HSR target was raised again to 70,000 route kilometers. High-speed trains would serve 98% of cities with population of more than 500,000 people. So this was the development of the high-speed railway plans. And you will notice that the plans were always there to expand the system and not to shrink the system. So I would like you to see the progress. Length of railways has increased from 800 kilometers to 158,000 kilometers. Electrification has increased from 36,900 to 119,000 kilometers. High-speed railways from 16,000 to 45,000 kilometers. These are all route kilometers. Railway passenger kilometers in 100 millions from 11,242 to 14,729. That's an increase of 31%. Railway freight ton also increased by 32%. So you can see that all aspects of railways have seen a very substantial growth over a period of 1 decade, over a period of 10 years. Now, what you have to notice is that in China, the projects for expansion of railways are implemented very rapidly. It does not take 10 years, 15 years for a project to be implemented, to be completed. Also, simultaneously, more than one project is under implementation. I also would like you to see the growth of highway services. The freight ton kilometers on highways also increased by about 30%, but highway passenger kilometers dropped by to about 40% of what it was in 2014. So that shows that highway passenger utilization was being transferred, the passengers were being transferred from highway to railways. Freight lead did not change much in highways, but the highway passenger lead dropped from 63 to 43 kilometers. So that means all medium distance and long distance passengers had migrated to railways from highways. So this is something which most countries are aiming at, because highways cause use of highways for passenger services causes a lot more pollution as compared with the pollution which is generated by the railways. So this is a summary of the last 10 years. Growth in freight kilometers was 32% for rail and 30% for highways. So both modes were promoting movement of freight. Growth in passenger kilometers was 31% for rail, but on highways there was a decline of 57%. The shift of passengers from highway to rail has increase in HR services due to the increase in HR services. This shift is helpful in reducing carbon emission from transport sector. The number of passengers on HR increased from 67200 to 3 billion in 2023. That means 4.4 times over a period of 10 years. This is a tremendous achievement, you know, it is unbelievable, but it has happened. That the number of passengers on high-speed railway increased by 4.4 times in a period of 10 years. So what is the story of high-speed railways in China? The high-speed unit cost is about 30 to 40% lower in China as compared to other countries. High-quality preliminary design has been the basic fundamental of the story. It does not require any significant change during the detailed design and construction period. And the preliminary design as well as the project is reviewed by an independent agency. Incidentally, there are about 6 organizations, independent organizations in China, which are responsible for survey, design, and preparation of project reports. These project reports are then reviewed by the railways, and then they are reviewed independently by their planning commission. Planning commission has a very knowledgeable and active setup of people who review all kinds of projects, whether they are highway projects or railway projects, and as well as they also review the cost estimates. It's another story in China that the cost estimates are generally kept a little bit generous. They are not, nobody tries to reduce the cost estimate so that they can get the approval quickly. And as a result, there are hardly any projects in China, particularly for railways and high-speed railways, where the project cost, implementation cost is significantly more than the estimated cost. It is normally within plus minus 5% of the original cost estimate. This is because there is very rigorous planning with respect to the design of the project as well as the estimate of costs. There is competitive pricing due to ample capacity for construction. This is possible because the construction companies are assured of work over a period of 10 to 15 or 20 years by a series of projects which will follow each other. So the construction companies acquire a lot of machinery which helps them implement projects rapidly, because they know that this machinery, this equipment will be utilized over a period of 10, 15, 20 years. And therefore, the cost will be amortized over not one project, but over several projects. So this shows the importance of having a long and credible pipeline of projects. If you have this kind of a system, then the construction industry rises to the occasion and offers you good service and lower prices. The design and manufacture of tracks, electrification, signaling, communication system was as well as trains was localized over a period of 5 to 10 years. That also helped to lower the cost of the unit cost of various activities. The labor cost in China is smaller or less than that in other developed countries. And then the biggest reason for lower cost was the short construction period. It is very common in China to build a high-speed project of 500, 600, or 700 kilometers in 5 years. From the time the project starts till the time the project is inaugurated. I have worked on 4 such projects where the project was delivered on time. And so it is really amazing that as compared to in India, where we are taking, you are aware of the project, high-speed project, rail project in Gujarat and Maharashtra, which is already 10 years old and is nowhere near completion. The dedicated freight corridors, which are supposed to be done in 5 years, is more than 10 years now, and still we are struggling, and they say keep on pushing the completion date further and further. So it is very important that we find systems which will hasten the implementation of projects in a reasonable time. I'm giving you an example of a project, high-speed project. It is called Guiguan projects. It's a dedicated 840 kilometer long railway and 250 kilometer per hour speed. Railway passes through a mountainous terrain. Highest elevation is 2,000 meters above mean sea level. 28% of the track is laid on bridges or viaducts, and about 50% track is in tunnels. The longest tunnel is 14.7 kilometers long. The construction started in December 2008 and was completed in 6 years, and 6 years and commissioned in December 2014. So in December 2008, I worked on this project. The project preparation is about 1 year. That means after the project has been approved by the planning commission, then it was sent to the World Bank for providing some financial assistance. It took us about 1 year to review the project and make some small changes here and there. And the project construction commenced in December 2008. At the time of the project start, the date of its inauguration of 28th of December 2014 was announced. And everybody in the project knew that this project has to be delivered by December 2014. The project area was very difficult because of mountains, and there was very limited access to the project sites. The project management had to construct about 3,000 kilometers of service roads and about 500 bridges and 100 kilometers of water pipelines to facilitate the construction of the railway. So it is a tremendous project, very difficult project, but still it was completed in 6 years. So this is not a fairy tale. This is a project on which I have worked for 6 years, and I can assure you that this was a very remarkable achievement. So what are the success factors in the project implementation in China? The medium and long-term plan for railways launched in 2004 for development of high-speed railways till 2020. The principle was that MLTRP could not be modified except in its enlargement. This assured stakeholders of its credibility. The point is that if a railway management makes an announcement, it must be credible. People should believe in it, and this can be done only if the railway management sticks to its word, sticks to its plan. Assured contractors of continued activities over years, thus encouraging them to acquire construction equipment, cost of which could be amortized over a long period. I have mentioned this earlier also. credible plan to set up 12,000 kilometers of HSR, persuaded contractors to develop construction capacity. There was a focus on absorbing international high-speed railway technologies. Hundreds of engineers were deployed overseas for a period of 10 years and more to acquire knowledge related to the high-speed railways. Manufacturers and contractors developed expertise rapidly to exploit emerging markets of HRS high-speed railway projects. It was the insistence of technology transfer in design and products. Joint ventures between foreign and local companies were concluded. For example, slab track and HSR trains. Now, this is possible only if there is a long-term credible plan and the local as well as the foreign manufacturers are confident that the technology they are trying to acquire or develop will be made use of over a long period. So we have experience of the high-speed railway project in India. Because it is a lone project, there is no follow-up projects after that. There has been very little transfer of technology of local manufacture in India because no manufacturer wants to expand efforts to develop technologies just for one project. They would like to know if this skill can be utilized over a period of, say, 20 years and over a period of 4 or 5 projects. So all aspects of HSR, including quality standards, testing and commissioning, system integration, maintenance facilities, standard operation, operational safety were covered. Financial incentives of 0 to 150% of basic salary to project manager team based on performance such as construction safety, engineering quality, cost control, and timely completion. So there was a big financial incentive given to the project management team. There is a very wide network of research and development institutions in China. There are 20 research and design institutions which support the railway systems and products. These are very well funded. And there's a list of various institutions which are engaged in research and development for a railway sector. I've listed about 6 or 7 of them. There are in all more than 20 of them. And that helps railways develop new products and improve the existing ones. Very few people in India, I think, are aware of the overland China-Europe railway services. This system is basically in competition to the movement of products between China and Europe via the sea route. China-Europe rail service from Xi'an was introduced in 2013. In 2014, this service operated about 200 trains. Cargo volume growth from 2014, it was 25,000 TEUs. In 2023, it is 1.9 million TEUs, 7.6 times the number of 20-foot equivalent container units. In 2023, 17,000 trips were made. That is overland from China to Europe and back. The average transit time for rail freight from China to Europe is about 15 days. So this is a service provided by the China Railways and promoted by China Railways in competition to the movement of goods over the seas. This service touches about 20 European countries, and it is a reliable and efficient alternative to sea and air freight. In January 2025, the cost of transport of 20-foot equivalent unit via the overland route was about $8,000. This compares to about $5,000 by sea. However, the rail freight is currently more expensive than sea freight. However, the faster transit time, typically around 15 days compared to sea freight, which takes 30 to 40 days. Plus this problem of problems on the sea routes also encourages people to use the overland service, which is somewhat more expensive, but it is more reliable and faster. So what do the China Railways plan to do in the future? So they will continue the advancement in railway technologies to enhance efficiency and passenger experience and speed of trains. CR 450 Technology Innovation Project, which is at the moment the speed of high-speed trains is maximum speed is 350 kilometers per hour. They want to raise it to 450 kilometers per hour. Integrate advanced technologies such as automation systems to improve safety, reliability, and operational efficiency, and develop maglev technology capable of 1,000 kilometers per hour within vacuum tubes. This project CR 450, that is speed of 450 kilometers per hour trains. The project was launched in 2021. The prototype has been unveiled and the design to operate at up to 500 kilometers per hour. Test runs have already achieved a peak of 450 kilometers per hour. And it incorporates several innovations of induction braking systems, permanent magnet traction motors, and active pantograph. It is expected that this project will be commissioned by the end of 2025, by the end of this year. There is aggressive plans for expansion of railway HSR network. Rail network is planned to be increased from 158,700 kilometers to 200,000 kilometers by 2035, roughly at the rate of 2,500 kilometers per year. High-speed network, which was 45,000 kilometers in 2023, by the end of this year, we'll add another 5,000 kilometers, and in the next 10 years, they will add 2,000 kilometers per year. So you can see that there is a very rapid growth of the railway sector planned for the next 10 years. And this is a credible plan, and people know that this will be achieved based on the past performance of China Railways. Thus, China Railways is committed to maintain leadership in railway technology and infrastructure developments. And I hope this gives you some idea as to how China Railway has developed over the last 10 years. And I'll be very happy to answer any question that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sondhi. While the world celebrates Rail 200 years of railway system.
Please increase your volume. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It's showing full volume for me. Yeah. I think while the world celebrates rail to 200 years of railways around the world, it is the Chinese who are really putting the railway networks onto the map of the world. Going by Mr. Sondhi's presentation, they have already touched 160,000 route kilometers, and they are likely to reach 200,000 route kilometers. And the high-speed rail, which is already reaching 45,000 route kilometers, will touch 70,000 route kilometers by 2035. I think that's a phenomenal rate of growth of railway systems in China. It's a marvel only because of the meticulous planning at the initial stages.
Rajit, don't mind you were also sharing screen. Can you unshare your screen?
So with this, what I can summarize from Mr. Sondhi's presentation is that it is the fact that the Chinese have really done a meticulous planning, and once they plan and once they sanction a project, there's no hurdle after that to complete the project. The team is set up. There is no change in the team. The same team has to deliver the project from beginning to end. And I think these are the major factors which have helped China really do a stupendous work in the railway network expansion in their systems. Let me look at the questions which have come about on this. Mr. Sanjay Mukherjee has a question here which says, when we were deciding for the train 18 in 2016, one important decision point which went in favor of ICF proposal was the significantly reduced cost of indigenous. I think these questions have already come through earlier.
There is a question by Mr. Sarabjit Singh. How much of China's capacity to plan and implement is because of a single party system?
Yes,
Yeah,
I don't think the political system has anything to do with this. It's a question of having a very clear target and then sticking to it, and be serious about making plans which you want to implement. It is whether it is a one-party system or two-party system. I don't think it is. It has any impact on the implementation of projects.
Mr.
You had mentioned that there are 18 RAs.
Yes.
18 railway administrations. How do they coordinate between themselves? Do they have overarching?
Each zonal railway or RA, it coordinates with its adjacent RA, and also in the railway headquarters in Beijing, there is a control center which can access any RA's train operation, all their so control charts. They can see them, and particularly if there is need for any special arrangements, and those arrangements are then conveyed to them. But essentially, the coordination is between one railway headquarters and the other is with the adjacent organizations.
There's another question. Has China introduced Hyperloop system on any of the routes?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Mr. Dilip Sinha has written that, thanks, Mr. Sondhi, a very informative presentation. I had a question about the reasons for Indian Railways falling behind. You already answered it. So.
No, Indian Railways make their long-term plans. I've been seeing them from 2005, 2010, 15, 20, but they are never followed up. And they are kind of fairy tales, and nobody believes in them. So nobody generates any capacity for implementing those projects because they are not sure if the Indian Railways are serious about implementing those projects.
Kaushik Dharwadkar has asked a very interesting question. He asks, Sir, in formative presentation, what core engineering curriculum changes could we have in Gati Shakti Vidyalaya, that is Nair or Railway Staff College, which would help us in developing technocrats to get on par with China, say over the next 10-15 years? Could it mean more practical hands-on approach?
I didn't get the question. Can you repeat it, Ranjit?
Yeah, I think what changes would be required at, say, Gati Shakti Vidyalaya or at Railway Staff College so that we can develop technocrats who will be on par with China? Is it lack of hands-on experience?
No, it is. See, the Indian Railways have to make a commitment to the future, and for that, I think about 1,000 engineers were deputed by China Railways for overseas for training in high-speed technologies. And the original transfer of technology to China from Japan in particular was for 250 kilometer per hour speed. Then there were hundreds of engineers working with the Japanese designers, and they acquired the skill, and then they raised the speed from 250 to 350 kilometers per hour on their own. And when they built these 350 kilometer speed trains, the Japanese wanted to get what you call some payment for the use of their designs. And Chinese told them that your design was 250 kilometers per hour. The trains which we are manufacturing now are 350 kilometers per hour. They are our designs, and we do not owe you any kind of payment for the manufacture of these high-speed trains. So the point is that there has to be a very clear objective, and then it has to be supported by activities and actions to reach the goal that you have set yourself up. It should not be a half-hearted or quarter-hearted effort. And so the high-speed railway which we are building, have we got any what you call target, that what are these skills which we are trying to acquire? I don't know if there is any such such policy taken by the Indian Railways. So it is this one-off thing is no good. It's not going to help us in the long run.
Actually, every year, 5 or 10 railway engineers are going on Japanese government scholarships for about 6 to 7 months. But only 5 to 10. That's a very small number, which goes every year.
No, but when those people come back, do they go and try to use their knowledge they have acquired in that particular? The person comes back and he's then posted as a CPO or something,
Yes, that is possible.
So the point is that there is no long-term plan or long-term objective for which people are sent abroad.
Right.
How do they treat their financial viability of their new lines?
Financial viability is depends on the number of passengers you have. So there are a very few high-speed railways in China which are at the moment financially viable. Their policy is that we are building the railways for next 30-40 years, and it will take 10 years for any high-speed railway to have sufficient number of passengers to break even. So they are willing to run those trains at a loss, and there is a differential in pricing. The railway line from Beijing to Shanghai is really very heavily patronized, and the fares there are higher than other lines, and it is running at a fairly good profit. But there are some lines which have got very low usage. There the prices have been lowered to increase the footfall, and they are still running at a loss. And so this this has been criticized by a lot of people that China could have gone slower in implementing their projects, but they are willing to take the risk and bear the losses for the first 10 or 15 years.
Thank you
One
very
last
much.
question, sir. How popular is the line to Lhasa, and is it cost effective?
Pardon?
The line to Lhasa, the line that goes into Tibet.
It is popular means that I won't be able to tell you as to how many people are traveling on it, but it is essentially a service from the point of view of providing the defense services access to Tibet, so that if there is any problem there, they can take care of it.
Thank you, sir.
It's a strategic line. It is.
Okay.
It is not a line for making any profit.
Okay.
Strategic line. So I think that brings us to 6 p.m. and thank you very much, sir, for your very interesting presentation on China Railways. And it really shows us the stark difference between what is happening on Indian Railways and what's happening in China. And let's hope that the powers that be take note of what is the way forward and how to take Indian Railways.
Thank you very much.
In a similar
Thank you so
direction.
much.
Thank
Bye
you very
bye.
much.